I wanted to talk about why seeking doesn't work.
Nothing works.
Well, somebody skipped the end of the book.
You know what it seems like? Seeking is seeking, in a sense.
Seeking presupposes that something has to be sought, something has to be found, that there's something missing. That's an assumption that would underlie it.
Right, but why is that so painful?
Because thought is the one that's doing it. Thought is trying to seek itself somehow.
I look at it as a dog chasing its tail. It's like it's like implicitly you don't like where you are, and then you use that to seek. But the more you try and the more effort you put in, you're actually reinforcing the very thing that you think is the problem. And I think of it as a dog chasing its tail, because the more you try, you keep going round and round and round, and it's never going to happen that way.
Also, when the focus is on seeking, what is already here is not seen. The me is looking for something, and whereas it's already, what it's looking for is already here.
The problem, Peter, I think for a lot of people, is that when we say it's already here, people say, okay, well, that's not good enough. And then seeking begins even further, because even saying it's here, people say, well, so what? It doesn't, I don't have blissful feelings or whatever. And so there is that need again to keep looking for something that's going to make it, quote unquote, even better.
Well, of course, it's important to define what the me is looking for. I mean, there is some simple things, there is more philosophical, spiritual things, but you know, maybe what it could be that to seek to come to a point where what is perfectly enough, and there is some peace and some relaxation into what is, and so, you know, that would be one way of just seeking that peaceful state.
I wonder though, and I've thought about this in the past, that even to seek the peaceful state actually is more seeking, in that in the seeing with a capital S of what is, whatever it is, whatever, even if it feels like I don't like it, well, that's it too. And then there's a sort of abiding in whatever shows up. But I think that a lot of people think, well, I'll find peace at the end of that rainbow, or everything will appear peaceful. But that actually is a trap. It could be a trap, because then the me starts searching for, well, I'm not peaceful, so this can't be it. Even though intellectually you'd say, well, this is what is, but that me energy will keep looking for its imagined peaceful state.
Yeah, a good point, Harvey. Maybe better said is to realize that what is all there is, to begin with and to end with, and so to just to let go of the notion that there is something more, that something more is needed.
Yeah. But even to let go of the notion, there can be a letting go, but you can't do it as a doing of letting it go. But there may be a letting go, but of no one. It'll happen or it doesn't. And even if it doesn't, then that's it too.
Right.
So a lot of the pointing that we do here that goes on is to the fact that there simply isn't anything else. And there can be a recognition of that there just isn't anything else. And that's, different than sort of realizing that, well, this looking for something else is really not working and it's not such a good idea and maybe I should give it up or maybe I should try something else. Then as we've been saying, that just becomes another moment of the me's, strategy of trying and seeking. But in all of it, there can just be a seeing that there actually isn't anything else, that everything that there is already what is. And that's why we we try to keep pointing, at least I think we do. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, Dan. I
Yeah,
was
no,
just
you
gonna
go.
say, well, so how would you get to what is?
You're
Well,
already,
That's what the me is trying to figure out.
Yeah,
There is no
actually,
getting to it. If it's already here, there's no way to get to it.
Tell that to the me, Peter.
Are we talking about the me or are we talking about just it?
So yeah, the me is involved in an impossible operation, an impossible program or project. And that, that's what the me is. It's a contradiction in itself. But fortunately, it doesn't exist, which would be the only solution, really.
hi, Nkosi, welcome.
Hi, Michael. Hello, everyone.
Good to have you back. You're looking healthy.
Yeah, I am. I am.
Yeah,
Thanks.
and sharp too, I don't mind saying.
Thank you.
So now we have Nkosi here. I wanted to talk about something he said that really touched me. And I wanted to then maybe if Nkosi could comment. But Nkosi said, nothing belongs to you. Everything is you. Oh my God, Nkosi. Because for something to belong to you, there's always going to be the separation.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, if something belongs to you, it means as if there is a separate somebody outside of this that owns something. But in actual fact, there is only this. So when I say everything is you, I actually meant everything is this. I just change words, of which even words can't describe this. This is beyond description. Nobody can talk about this. Nobody can know this. Nobody can understand this, because all there is this. So this cannot be said. This cannot be said. Even the sound that is coming out right now is just this. This right here is the sound that was given meaning, but it doesn't actually mean anything. The same as birds chirping. Unless you give a meaning to birds chirp, then it means something, but it doesn't actually mean anything. So it's just this. Yeah. There is no outside of this. There is no separate person here. The me cannot understand anything. The me cannot know anything because the me does not exist. There's just this. There is no me here. There is no one separate. So trying to understand this is already this. Not understanding this is already this. Confused about this is already this. So there is no escape. There is no escape because there isn't anybody to escape anything. So everything is just beautiful, just the way it is. It doesn't need to be changed. There may seem to be somebody, who's separate, who's trying to change this, but it's just disappearing as that. There's no real somebody here. So no matter which direction what seems to be the me may seem to take, it's actually going nowhere because it doesn't really exist. It's just this appearing as that. So there's no way to go.
So what do you get the person who has everything already? So we could say just in a different way that everything belongs to you and you belong to everything. I mean, it's just with different words, but there's no getting anything and there's no losing anything, because all the getting and losing, that all goes on within the story to the character. And that has nothing to do with you because you're not involved with that. It's not what you are. It's just an appearance, as Nkosi just said. So all the belonging is just an appearance.
Yeah.
The story of belonging.
I can say a few more words about what touched me when what was really, it was more than just, it was felt. When he said nothing belongs to you, there was a clear sense of there's a me and then an object that belongs to it. So that's my radio, that's my car, it's my something. But then when he said, everything is you already, that has an intimacy to it that the ownership just dissolves in.
And where does the idea of ownership come from in the first place? It's really something that's completely invented by the story of the me. I mean, the me reality is a feeling that I'm missing. There's things that I'm missing. So I'm now trying to get these things from my experience, trying to own, trying to possess, trying to make whatever, because I'm trying to get what I'm missing. That's the reality of the me. And it's a complete, it's an illusion. It's not real, but that is what that's about. So then there's this idea of getting and possessing and belonging. This belongs to me because I'm busy trying to get and keep, not just get, but I got to keep it. And then I got to, so that's the story of the me. And you can notice whether that's actually going on or not, or whether it's just an appearance that's very secondary to what's really here, which is just this.
The me is also appearing. So
Yes.
the me is not an illusion. There can be no illusion if it's all coming from one. So the me is included in all that is. So therefore the me searching is included. The me searching is that. And so there's no problem with that. There's no problem in me searching.
Yeah, right on. There's no problem, period, anywhere. Although there may be the appearance of a problem, because anything can show up. Any story can be told. But yeah. But there's just this.
Yeah. What seems to be the me is already this. So it doesn't really matter what the me might seem to be doing, because it's already this. There's no me, it's just this. Whether the me seems to be giving up, whether the me is searching, frustrated, it doesn't really matter because there's no me. It's just this. And that's what's just happening. It's just what's happening. There isn't anybody who's behind that. There isn't any sufferer. It's just what seems to be appearing and happening. And as well, there isn't anybody to talk to here.
And there's nothing happening here.
Yeah, while we have Nkosi here, let's ask, Nkosi, why is nothing happening?
Nothing is happening. There's no why.
Because it's just this. It's already this. It's not becoming something else. But it looks like all kinds of things, right? It looks like all kinds of things happening and, all kinds of things jumping around and showing up and going away.
So if you look, oh, I'm sorry, Don, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, if you look for that one, if you look for the me, it may be noticed that it's just a thought, and it's only ever been a thought. There's no there's not a me. already.
I used to believe that the me is this body. I realized that that's not what we're talking about. I'm just saying that when I look back, the me was identified with being this body. The me is the label that is attached. And the question I had about that there is nothing happening is, how does the fallacy come about that nothing is something? Like, you know, we call it, you can call it nothing. I'm not sure what I'm asking. I like the question. It's tough for the me, I guess one could say, it's tough for the me to grasp that there is nothing happening.
Let's call it impossible, Peter. It is impossible for the me. Because, yeah, no, this is good. I mean, you're getting really to something, you know.
You mean I'm maintaining my grade?
I'm giving you an A, and I'm gonna see how you do by the end of class. I may give you an A+. Yeah, well, see, the me is, you said, how does it happen that something, nothing gets turned into something, or so you said something like that. And that's exactly what the me is. It's the me is the turning of nothing into, or just this, into something. Okay, so the me is the reality that there is something, and I am something, and this world is something. Okay, not nothing, but something. Now, how that happens, I don't know if we could have any way of saying that. That's the, you know, how does it happen? But that's what the me reality is. And but it can't see nothing, because it's already the, you know, yeah, the saying, the claiming that everything is something, and I am something, and this is reality. That is the me. So,
yeah, what the question came up then was, when you say there is just this can appear as something.
right.
It's easier to consider that this is something than this is nothing. This is nothing is a different ballgame.
Right, but the me can't understand this is nothing. It doesn't compute at all. But so that's exactly what's happening. Everything is nothing. It's appearing as something, as you could say that, but it isn't really anything, because there actually isn't really anything. There are not, you know, nothing doesn't actually become something. Not really. It can appear. That's the whole thing. But to the me reality, it is something. So it's like the me invented something, you could say. It comes along with the me. This idea of something that isn't nothing. There's your division. There's your separation. This is all something now. And now, and again, yeah, it's connected to the body, because now I'm me, the body, and I'm involved with all these real somethings. Anyway, yeah. But keep going with that. I like your inquiry here. But that's what's missed, and that's why it's so hard to you know, in these non-duality meetings, there's a lot of talk about nothing, and it's very hard for the me. I mean, like I said, it's impossible for the me to really, you know, hang with that at all. That's why we end up saying that there's no message here, there's no teaching here, there's no, you know, all that stuff, because it's really, you know, there's a resonance that happens with it from somewhere else, but not from the me.
Yeah, so, I'm sorry, Dan, I just want to say, So yeah, it really is resonance. Is all is this. Whether you feel like a me or not, whether you feel separate or not, does all is this resonate with something? And if it is, that's it. You're done.
And it's nothing resonating with nothing.
Yeah.
So if the me is seeking and the me is just this, and it's sort of seen as just this, then there's no need for any strategy to even deal with an apparent me, because even the apparent me is this, or the apparent seeking is in that immediacy, that's it too. And so then there's like an okayness, I would say, an okayness of even the seeking, because it's this as well.
Yeah. Good summary. So that's why we say there really are no questions. You know, the me is a question. It's a seeking. Like you said, it's just seeking. It's not even seeking anything in particular. I mean, it's not a matter of what it's seeking. It's just seeking. It's the activity of seeking or
Yeah.
asking the question and trying to find the answer. But there's no, there really isn't any question, and there's no need for all of that. That's part of the invention of the whole mechanism of the me or whatever. It brings its questions along with it. But no, that's it's not what's going on here. there's nothing that needs to be questioned, and there's no answer. It's already all here.
I think that's why Nkosi started laughing when we gave him the question why. Sort of doesn't compute, does it?
Yeah, that's why Nkosi's always laughing.
Yeah, I would like to say seeking is just happening. It seems to be happening. Thoughts are happening. They're just happening. Talking is happening. But there isn't anybody who's doing that. There's no one who's doing anything here. There's no doer already. There's no doer. Everything is just seems to be happening. And it doesn't really matter. Because there isn't anyone here. Talking doesn't belong to anyone. Thinking doesn't belong to anyone. Wandering doesn't belong to anyone. Frustration, anger, somebody not getting this. Anything that's happening right now, it doesn't actually belong to anyone. It's just happening. The question may arise, but it doesn't mean that there is an actual person or separate individual asking a question. It's just a question arising. An answer might be given, but it doesn't mean that there's somebody who's giving an answer. It's just happening for no one.
So, so the question I would have for Nkosi or anybody is like, I look at you, and you. Okay. I would say I'm more suffering now than you are in the relative world. I'm still looking, I'm trying to get there, da 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 da. Okay. It seems that you're not. I don't know. I'm projecting, but it seems that you're not. What? But it's all happening. What's happening out there or what's happening here, it's all happening and it doesn't belong to any of us. But what I see over there is how come you can laugh at this and I over here going, well, how can I get there? So, but it's all happening. So it's happening here too. So if that makes any sense.
Actually, I'm not laughing. And we have never said anything. We have never said anything. We have never asked a question. I've never done anything because there isn't anybody here. It's just wholeness appearing. As that's. There's just everything here. There's just wholeness. There is nothing outside of this. There isn't anybody to know this. There isn't anybody who's asking a question or confused about this, because all there is this. So that's why I always say there is no escape. There is no escape in the sense that there isn't anybody who separates, who can say something outside of this. I laugh because even though I'm not laughing, I see that there's nobody here. So it may seem as if somebody's asking a question, is confused, but there isn't anybody who's confused. It's just everything. Wholeness appearing to be confused, wholeness asking a question, wholeness wondering, wholeness about to give up. Everything is this. So there's just everything here. There isn't anybody who's separate already.
Hey, Don, I'll take a crack at this. You ready? So if you spent 24 hours a day banging your head against the wall, right? You'd have a massive headache, right? If you spend 24 hours a day sitting in silence or sleeping, you probably feel a lot better, right? So I think in the relative world, you have choices, right? Now we can say who's making the choice, but still you have choices. And just like someone chose to be on this Zoom tonight. And so I'm just suggesting this. If you spent, let's say, more time being quiet or spending more time in resonance or beingness or whatever word works for you, you may find that you're all of a sudden feeling a lot more relaxed and free and less stressed and less worried and more spiritual. So I think that in the relative world, there are things you can do that make you feel free or more free. And so I think that no matter what we say, we can say everything is this, but as I always like to say, I can choose to sit and meditate in the quiet room down there. I can sit next to a jackhammer and meditate. I know they're going to have two completely different outcomes. And so to your question, I'm just trying to maybe throw something out there that maybe helps you or gives you some other ideas. But why Nkosi is the way he is, it could be a byproduct of things that have happened in his life that have brought him to a place of simplicity where he's not engaged with the mind or the thoughts or the duality. And so I would just invite you to play with, maybe spending more time in a quieter place, even though I know people can say that's still the mind talking, but it's all relative. Me talking right now is just happening spontaneously. So anyway, I would just invite you to play with some things that maybe you just disidentify more and more with the mind, with the story, with the ego, with the duality, and all of a sudden you just may start noticing that you're just more and more like the state you want to be, which is maybe why you asked that question to begin with. So I will sign off now. I hope that helped.
Thanks, Alan.
Yeah, I was interested.
Nice,
Oh,
I
sorry.
was just gonna say, nice bridge building there.
Yeah, I was going to make that comment that I read. Did I read a comment at the bottom of one of the clips calling Alan the bridge, Alan the bridge? Yeah, that was that was an interruption. That was a contribution from the bridge. Thank you.
Thank you, Faith. I consider myself to be a bridger for sure. I like the bridge.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and burn down the bridge.
Oh.
You can't, because everything is this.
That's why I can do it. But so, I mean, I would just say that, there might be an appearance that Nkosi's got it, and then there's a Don that doesn't have it and is trying to get it, but no, that's an appearance. But actually, there isn't any Nkosi, and there isn't any Don. There just isn't. There's just this. So these appearances are showing up as like everything shows up, and it'll show up exactly as it shows up, but it's already this. So that's, and there's no one this isn't a problem for anyone because it's just things showing up. And
Well, I think it would, and I don't mean to go against Bridgerism. I know Bridgerism is a recognized philosophical direction nowadays. However, it implies that there is two separate things to be bridged. A bridge itself connects. So in wholeness, there wouldn't be bridging.
well, Alan
that's
said,
why maybe Alan stressed and qualified it by saying in a relative world.
exactly. So that's this too. No escape.
What was that?
No escape.
Yeah,
There
there's
is
just
no
things that
escape.
we.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say there's things that we do intentionally every day. We eat to survive. We sleep, to hopefully feel better. And you could be intentional about meditating, and and Michael likes to talk about on his walks. He sees birds and butterflies, and so there's things that we do intentionally, and we can say that's this too, absolutely. But that's the bridge part of me that I do feel like I make choices every day. Now we can say, well, where's the choices coming from? It's a never-ending topic. You can't go wrong, as I think Dan might say. So I just know that there are things I do in life that make me feel closer to this idea of what Michael would call resonation, or I call it now formlessness or boundlessness. To me, there's a sense of not to. But to me, it's a practice, and Peter can tell you about how much I love to talk about the practice of, becoming what you want to become. So no matter what, you can't go wrong, but I would say that you can position yourself, which I can't wait to hear everybody come out on this one, but you can position yourself at the end of the day to make choices. Again, do I want to meditate in a quiet room? Do I want to meditate next to a jackhammer?
You're not making those decisions, though.
What was that, Barbara?
Oh, sorry. But you're
Good.
not making those decisions.
Correct.
Oh,
But
sorry.
right, but wherever, but just like we're all sharing information that's
Yeah.
giving us clarity about everything is this already, right? So we're saying statements about everything is this already. So we're all adding input that's affecting what we're hearing. And it's all perfect. And I agree with that. But again, if you're a human being and you're going to eat and drink and stay alive and hopefully, quote unquote, thrive in life, there are just things that you can do that can alter your course. And we can say all day long, yeah, but that comes out of this too. That's fine. But what I just said, no matter what, also comes out of this. So you can't lose.
Alan,
Right.
this reminds me when about 2 years ago or so, roughly, I was coming first to this group. See, Dan, I'm not calling it a class anymore.
Okay.
It's satsang.
You got your A+, so.
So I wanted to prove, I said, I can make decisions. I can decide. And I think, I don't know whether it was Michael or somebody said, okay, show it to me or prove. I was asked to prove. And I took it was a glass at that time. And I said, I'm going to choose to put that cup down over there. And all I recall is it didn't fly. It was not proving that I made a decision. So I'm just sharing that as an anecdote.
Yeah, I think I asked you, Peter, why did you pick up the cup and not a pen?
Yes, good memory. Good memory. Uh-huh. And I didn't have an answer.
Right, so these are all things that we can say are happening in the appearance, are appearing to happen, this activity that's going on. And, you know, there's no way, I mean, I certainly wouldn't say that, like doing a practice is not, you know, is worse than doing something else. I mean, it's just whatever happens is exactly what goes on. And it's all the same this, so as we keep saying. And but you can't find anyone doing it. That's the, you know, that's also the point. You know, you can't find anybody who's, you know, behind the curtain operating all of this. But the me reality assumes that there is something like that. So we point that out.
Yeah. There isn't anything wrong or right with anything, because everything is just an expression of this. And what seems to be everything is already nothing. So this doesn't suppress, you know, everything is allowed to express just the way it is. So this doesn't mind itself, So there isn't anything wrong or right with anything. Everything is just happening for no one. This doesn't say that shouldn't be done, this should be done. No. There are no should and shouldn'ts here. There seem to be that okayness with everything. And what seem to be others, they seem to be okay. There's that sense of okayness with everything. If somebody decides to practice, that's okay too. If somebody decides to meditate, that's okay too. If somebody decides to give up, that's okay too. Because all there is this. This doesn't have rules and regulations.
So again, the whole idea of rules and regulations, or knowing what's okay and or what's not okay, what's good, what's bad. And we can call all of that knowledge, because that's, what's very important to the me experience, the me reality. The me is the inventor of all of that, invents okay and not okay, because the me is on a project the me feels like I don't have enough this, and I'm trying to get more of this, or my this isn't good enough, and I'm trying to get a this that's better, good enough. So that's the whole reality of the me, and it invents good and bad and not okay and okay. But this, that has nothing to do with this. This doesn't know okay or not okay, because it's just already this. It's not on a project to get more this or a better this. So.
Yeah, I would have said, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I would have said this before because it's sort of my theme, I guess. But what I love, what brings me joy about this message is that it relieves the responsibility that this me has been burdened with all my life. And if the me, it just takes responsibility. The heaviness of responsibility is my suffering, I suppose. And this message relieves me of that, which brings me much joy.
Faith, there's no blame, but there's also no credit.
Yeah. Yeah, that's sometimes, Ron, I feel like it can be a double-edged sword. That I enjoy there's no blame, but I struggle with the no credit. Mm.
And they're really the same exact thing. They're just two sides of the same
coin. Yeah.
And it's all part of the me game. The game that me plays with itself.
Mm.
And it's a kind of arrogance, really, in a way, because it assumes that I know what, how to do the right thing.
Yeah.
Make things right. Like I came here to make everything right.
Yeah.
And there just isn't, that we don't have that kind of knowing because it's already what it is. There's no one who has the control panel over life. Or even knows what life is. I mean, that's the thing. We don't know what's going on here. We don't know what anything is. We don't know what this appearance is all about. We can make up stories about it and try to make them work, but you can see how that will go.
There is nothing happening that would be no life either, right? Life isn't.
Right. Yeah, if you talk about life being the appearance of things. But sometimes when we say life, we just mean that as just whatever is, just whatever's going on. There isn't really a word for it. We say this, I mean, sometimes, right?
Right.
But yeah, life would be usually how we normally use that word, my life, that means the story or the appearance. So that's what there isn't really. There's no life.
It is interesting though, yeah. So there is life, there's like my life, you know, from birth to death and so on. Then
Mhm.
there is life, just
Right,
here.
meaning the story of what's appearing and what's supposedly going on with everything.
Right, and I'm not sure if I can put this in words. The idea that there is something, you know, I was stuck on this a while back, a few weeks back. Is there something or is there nothing? And I keep getting the message that there is nothing, which is a challenge to conceptually get the hang of that.
Well, how about try this one on? There isn't something and there isn't nothing.
I think at the time, I'm not sure, but I think at the time Nkosi said something like, "It is and it isn't" was the answer. I think he came on and I asked, and he said, "Well, it is and it isn't."
Right.
Which is
So the me
similar.
always wants to nail it down one way or another. But that's what there also isn't. There isn't any, you know, you can't pin anything down. You can't say what anything is. It's not, it doesn't conform to that kind of a concept of, you know, and it hasn't happened yet. You know, it's not happening, as you can think of it that way. I mean, what we're talking about isn't anything that we could be talking about, because it's you know, that's why we all end up saying this, which means it's not in time, it's not in a place, it isn't anywhere.
However, it is
But at the same
already. It is already.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's a mystery.
A mystery, all right.
But the me is always going to be trying to find the word for it and the concept and what is, you know, what is this really? What, you know, what is it? But yeah.
That's why we call it this.
Yes, exactly. But there's no knowing. I mean, we also call it unknowing, which also does not compute with the me. But it's unknowing because it hasn't, you know, there's nowhere you can look to find it. It's, you know, it's everything. And it's, again, it hasn't happened. It's just happening. You know, it doesn't get established as anything that we can talk about. It just keeps being whatever it is. This is all we can say.
But how do we know this? I mean, how
We don't.
this is the way it is, and I agree with everything. But how do we? What is it that's knowing that? Because it sounds like we're knowing something.
Well, what is anything? Yeah, it's a black hole. The question, you know, swallows itself, I think. You know.
I don't know if
Yeah,
this fits
can't know.
here then, but very often there is the notion that there is no one here to know anything. It appears as if you're here, Don, or I'm here, Peter, and I know this and that. However, that just is an appearance. It really isn't happening, is what I'm hearing here.
Mhm.
But my question was, how do you know that?
I don't.
I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying, but how do you know that? I mean, we're making statements about how it is. I mean,
I think,
or wait a minute, let me get back. It's like nothing's happening here, but it appears that we're making statements about something. And can we do that?
well, see, you keep saying, how do we know that? And that's the question. Do we know it? And maybe we don't know it. Maybe there is no one here to know it as a notion.
Right. Well, and then when we say no, that implies that there's something knowing something else. And that's what there isn't really. Michael?
Well, I was just waving goodbye to Nkosi.
Oh,
And Nkosi,
oh,
Yes. Thank you, Nkosi.
thanks.
Thanks.
I was hoping you could say something to take us out.
Yeah, do you have it? Can you take us out?
Can you take a couple minutes?
Try this
Everything's
one.
beautiful.
Yeah. Well, there's really nothing to do here. There's really nothing to do. It's just what's happening. They're just appearances and disappearances. Nothing matters to this because everything is this. So no matter what may seem to happen, it has got nothing to do with what seems to be a separate person, because there isn't any separate person here. There's just everything, wholeness. So actually, I'll say as well, it may seem as if, in the story, it may seem as if this meeting is going somewhere, but in actual fact, it's going nowhere. Because really, this doesn't move. It's always here. The movement may seem to happen in its own imagination. It's just this imagining itself to be getting somewhere, but in actual fact, it's going nowhere. It's always here. So everything is okay, just the way it is. Everything is beautiful, just the way it is. Even a thought that says it's not beautiful, that's beautiful too. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nkosi. Thank you, everybody, each and every one of you for coming this evening. Everyone have a great night.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Good night.
Night.